What's going on YouTube, and welcome to another Rainy Retro video. Today we will be talking about this guy right here. This is the OrangePi 5. We actually don't have a name for this yet, but this was actually built 2 years ago, but we didn't get the OS on here until maybe like a week or so ago. So big story behind this, I originally bought this to play Wii and PlayStation 2. This was supposed to be a gift from my sister. She told me she wanted a Wii. So rather than me actually going and buy a Wii at the time, I decided to go ahead and build her one. But through a lot of different headaches and a lot of unforeseen things, I actually ended up giving up on this project and then buying her a Wii. So technically she got what she wanted, but I was just pretty much stuck with, this empty box, this empty shell. At the time, I did end up putting GameCube and PS2 on it. It had Dolphin and I want to say Ether SX, but because the RAM was so low on here, it actually didn't run at the speed in which I needed it to. So again, it just became a very cool blank mini PC. Recently, one of my Steam friends, he did end up flashing the Android operating system on here, and once he did that, it's been lights out, right? Because now I'm able to go into the Play Store and download all of my favorite Android apps, including like Spotify, RetroArch, YouTube, ChatGPT, and other things like that. Before we get into the software, let's just go ahead and take a quick look around the actual hardware, around the actual unit. Right now, it is plugged up. We have the HDMI cord over here. We do have the charging cord right here, and then you also have 3.5 millimeter aux. Just a little customization on the side. I do have a battery hooked up. It's portable. So far, I want to say I get between 4 and 5 hours off of this particular battery right here. At the same time though, you are able to plug this in up top, and then you're able to charge up and do your things from there. So you would be able to leave this on 24/7 if you just really wanted to use this as a full-blown PC. For the longest, this fan was hooked up, it was in here, but I couldn't get it to turn on. And it wasn't until maybe the same day where we got the Android OS on here to where I was able to actually figure out that I had that hooked on backwards and on the wrong pin. So once that got plugged in, we was actually good to go, because now I know that I'm able to actually push the system and get some cooling to it without, potentially frying the motherboard. It doesn't have built-in Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, so I did have to buy an adapter, which is this part right here. I do want to say that there's 3 ports on here, but not all of them 3.0 or 4.0 USB. So one of them is actually a little bit slower, and I want to say it's this one over here. When I am gaming or when I have like another keyboard or something plugged in, if these aren't plugged into this exact order right here, something is not going to work. So if I move this Wi-Fi piece over here and I move this controller port over here, something's just not going to work. Another thing about this, it does not take every charging cable. Yeah, so if you have any type of issues with this, you definitely need to just check the charging cable with that. I had a white one on there before. It kind of gave it like a cooler look, but I noticed every time I would technically move the unit, or if I plugged in something into the wrong USB, the entire unit would actually cut off or reset. And that's kind of annoying. When this isn't plugged into like a HDMI port, I do use this as a portable MP3. Basically just having Spotify in the background. You could download your songs directly onto the micro SD card slot. If you wanted to, you really could pack this out with a lot of memory, but again, it just kind of depends on everything that you plan on doing with this. At the time, I think I paid between 80 and $100 for it. I want to say it was like $85 for real. Because at the time I know I was on a budget and I wouldn't have paid too much for this. But after all of the upgrades, from adding in the fan to adding in the case to adding in the memory and a couple of the adapters, I probably ended up, it's probably like $120 project. And again, this was like 2 years ago, but like we're just not getting to a point with the way it works. And this is the 4 gig model. So this should be able to play all of your 2D and smaller 3D titles. If you do put on some PS2, it has to be like a 2D PS2 game. So more along the lines of Marvel versus Capcom, anything like that, you should be good to go on there. But if you're trying to run you might actually get away with some Tekken too. As far as Wii and GameCube, again, it would be one of those smaller type games. It does technically run like a little bit of Mario Kart, but you have to play around with the back ends. Again, you can play it. I wouldn't suggest it. You're probably gonna fry it, but I would say if you do specifically want to play PS2 or GameCube or Wii, then just go ahead and get the 8 gig model, because it's gonna have the necessary power that you need to go ahead and run everything. When it's not plugged in, I do use this other USB-C port right here, and then I plug in my X-Ray AR glasses. So if you go back a few videos, I want to say like a couple months ago, we did do a review on those glasses, and I originally purchased them for the RG406V. Like I knew I was gonna buy a handheld. Well, actually, I bought it for the Steam Deck, but I knew eventually I would use it for a handheld. But for whatever reason, the RG406V it's not compatible with the X-Real AR glasses. I don't know if it's like a firmware update or something, but it doesn't work. So long story short, they've been sitting in the bag and I've been using it off and on with my Steam Deck. Once we got this hooked up and it was running Android, this pretty much became the glasses specifically for the system. And that's going to wrap up our review of the OrangePi 5, the Rainey Pi 5. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next video.